lot of people aren't going to get that intro, but it's okay, man. The Batman. A lot of people said they didn't like it. A lot of people are saying it's not good, it's not a great representation of the Batman. They didn't like the acting, they didn't like anything about it. But I will tell you this. The Batman, Robert Pattinson, it is probably one of my best, one of my favorite, one of my newly looked to and looked at Batman. It's going to be in my top 2 or 3 of the Batman movies. He sticks to Batman, man. I mean, people are used to looking at Batman movies and saying, you know, he's punching the guy, pow, and there's the word pow over his head. You know, he's using the Batarang to swing across buildings, and somebody shot a rocket and he flips over it. That's cool, but that's not as realistic as what they showed here. And Joaquin Phoenix did the Joker. He wasn't using the thing and squirting and hitting people in the face with acid, and he wasn't squirting out the Joker gas and making people laugh themselves to death, but it was still good because it was grounded. This Batman movie is grounded. It was okay. It wasn't what a lot of people were expecting, but it was good. If somebody pours you a brown drink and you're expecting a nice cool glass of iced tea, but you sip it and it's a Pepsi, you might say, hey, step up. I wasn't expecting this, but it's good. That's what this movie was to me. Something I wasn't completely expecting, but it was good. There's a set of twins in this movie, and every time they were on screen, I was saying to myself, they've got to be Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They've got to be a more realistic version of these twins that are always with different crime lords fighting Batman. There's 2 of them. Sometimes they're big fat guys with little, beanie hats, but they're twins, and they fight Batman all the time. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And I was thinking, that's them. And in the credits, they're just listed as the twins, and I'm like, yeah, that's them. That's them. The Riddler, I think, was more frightening in this superhero movie than most superhero villains. Thanos is extremely frightening because he's going to wipe out half of the known universe. That sucks. But this dude could be living right next door to me, and he could, come in the house, sneak in the house while I'm asleep, cut my throat. He was dangerous and scary, and he was methodical, and he was smart. That was ideal. He was like a modern serial killer, this guy, the Riddler. I liked him. He wasn't, he did the riddles, but it wasn't jokey. It was more Son of Sam type messages to the police. It was intriguing and scary. I liked it. Batman was broody. He was real broody in this, and I like that. Usually you see Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne's upscale, and he's at the parties and he's drinking, champagne, and he's trying to fit in and doing a good job because he's Bruce Wayne. And he can't wait to get in that Batman suit so he can go beat criminals to death. But they've established in the comic books that in his mind, Batman is the real persona, and Bruce Wayne is his identity that he uses to cover up Batman. This movie seemed to address that. He spent almost all of his time either as Batman or preparing to put the uniform on or just taking the uniform off. He didn't do a whole lot as Bruce Wayne in a movie called The Batman. You want to see Batman, you don't want to see Bruce Wayne. So they gave us that, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the brooding. He didn't have a lot of gadgets. He didn't have a whole bunch of stuff on the back utility belt. He didn't throw one single Batarang and everything. He used it to cut a rope, but it was more like a knife than a throwing Batarang. He did use the grappling hook, but grappling hooks, anybody can get a grappling hook. So that's the thing. He wasn't overly gadgety, which I thought makes Batman kind of cartoony, all of the gadgets. He's supposed to be one of the world's greatest martial artists, 127 different styles of martial arts mastered but he's gonna hit you in the face with some gas. Doesn't make any sense. So in this movie, he was beating people down, and he didn't have a lot of gadgets. What it reminded me of is when they changed how James Bond was. Instead of having like the knife in the boot and the camera pen and the camera that shoots a laser and all that kind of stuff, all of the gadgets in the car, he was physically brutal. He beat people, you know. Daniel Craig was great. He was good. He was physical. He didn't have that many gadgets, and it grounded the James Bond character. That's what they did with Batman here. They grounded him here. He was more like a really good detective who happened to wear a cape and knew karate. It was good. I like that aspect of it. The movie was more like a mystery thriller, a murder mystery thriller, than it was a superhero movie. If you go there and you're expecting a superhero movie with people jumping through walls and saying stuff like, you know, hitting a guy with a surfboard and saying something clever like "surf's up, punk," or something like that, you are not gonna get any of that. This is closer to an honest-to-God murder mystery, and the main character just happens to be wearing a cape. It's something like that. And I dug that too. I understood what they were trying to do, and I grasped a hold of the idea, and I took it for the ride. It was good, man. I really need a part 2 to this. The guy at the end of the movie, there's a guy at the end of the movie, and he's talking to somebody else. I'm gonna say what happens, but there's one guy talking to another guy at the end of the movie, and they don't really show his face, but I'm saying to myself, the way he's speaking, it's gotta be Joker, right? It's Joker. Either he was Joker before this scene, or events are going to happen to make him be the Joker that we know and love. But either way, I'm like, the way he's talking, I think that dude is Joker, which would hint that there's probably going to be a part 2 if this is well received. I didn't understand why the villains thought that they didn't accomplish their goal. A whole lot of people got shot. Everybody that they wanted dead, almost every single person died. They threw the city into chaos. They shot one very important person that they wanted to shoot. They built an army of lunatics running around with guns, willing to believe anything that they hear on the internet. I mean, that doesn't happen today. Not really. You get a bunch of people that listen to stuff on the internet and the news and decide to pick up arms and go stand around and shoot other people because somebody else told them to. But it happened in a movie. So it happens, they get that, and then they flood the city, man. I mean, that sounds like a win for me. If I'm like, look, I'm gonna rob a bank, and I get the money, and I get away, and no one catches me, I'm thinking, hey, success. But they did. They had a list of goals that they wanted to accomplish. They accomplished all of the goals, and then they're like, you know, doggone it, we didn't get everything we wanted. They defeated us. And I'm thinking, no, they didn't, because if you ask one of those dead people, they're going to say you got away with it. I enjoyed this show. I know people are going to say, no, man, I didn't like it. I liked it. I like the way that they're targeting a more intellectual superhero audience. Not saying that if you didn't like it, you're not intellectual, but I'm saying I think that was their target audience. Also, I like the fact that they're making it more of a murder mystery as opposed to a superhero movie. Batman's in it, but he's a detective more than a superhero in this, and it was good. I like the fact that he didn't speak much. He just kind of turned his eyes and looked at people. Even when the one guy's going to tell him he doesn't belong in there, he just kind of turns his head and looks at him slightly, and the guy just kind of like, he backs up. It's Batman. Batman's supposed to be kind of scary, you know, and I like that. You know, he's a dude dressed like a vampire / Zorro in your house, beating people up. That's scary, man. How'd he get in the house? Did he go in the refrigerator? Better not touch my stuff. That's what you're thinking when Batman's in your house. I liked it. I like this a lot. In fact, I liked it so much that I would give this version of The Batman, for what they were trying to do, not as a 100% superhero movie, but for what they were trying to do, I would give this version of Batman 8 bags of popcorn. Man, in my mind, it was that good. 8 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you've seen the video, let's talk about it in the comments. Tell me, did you like it? Did you not like it? Why didn't you like it? Let's talk about it. Let's compare it to some other Batmans. Let's do that. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.